So I just want to welcome everybody to today's meeting and hope that everyone is staying warm. My goodness, talk about a frozen tundra out there.
Oh.
But yeah, a lot of good things happening. And so I just want to start off with the approval of the meeting minutes. And so we're going to approve the minutes, or I'm sorry about that. I want to do the roll call first part.
Okay.
So if we could start off with the roll call, that would be great. So I will start off, and then we can just go around. And Denise, if you just want to call the names of those to introduce themselves on mute, I think that would be great, so that people are not talking over each other. What I would also encourage people to do, by the way, just throughout the meeting, that if you are not talking, to ensure clear communication, please mute. So, or if you're not sure how to do that, please let us know. But if you are not talking, please mute. And if you do have a question, then of course you can, unmute or raise your hand, and then we can get to you that way. But I just want to, for viewership and then also for the good of conversation and time, I just want to make sure that we do stay muted if we're not speaking. All right, so with that, I'll start off the roll call. So good afternoon. My name is Zach Damon. I'm the chairman of the commission.
Alex,
Alex Gossage, commissioner.
Tim,
Tim Hall, commissioner.
Kathleen,
Kathleen Mozak, commissioner.
Matthew,
Matthew Solomon, commissioner.
Larry.
Larry Keeler, commissioner.
Okay. Council member.
I'm Elizabeth Nelson. I'm the City Council liaison to Kodai.
We also have Katie in the house.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining. By the way, I was hoping that Rachel was going to be joining us. I think she was planning on joining us today. So be on the lookout for her joining this afternoon, Denise. At least she did tell me that it seemed as if she was planning on joining. So whenever she can. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, with that, I'd like to move forward to the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of today's wonderful agenda and some things that we're going to discuss. So I just want to go through that with you guys. If you do have any questions or any concerns, or if there are any errors and things in today's agenda, please feel free to speak about those at this time. I will give a couple of minutes for review. Kathleen, you have a point, or are you just grabbing something? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I know with Zoom, it's like even if you're just moving to grab a bottle of water, it's like we're raising our hands. All right.
Well, you can't see me.
Well, that's true, Larry. Do you have
Because I can do whatever I want.
objections? That's true. That's true. All right. Well, with that, I've given a couple of minutes for review of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve today's agenda?
I'll move to approve. Hello?
Yes, I have you has moved to approve, and
I'll
Council
second.
member Nelson is second.
Okay, thank you. I think there's a bit of a delay. So Councilwoman Nelson seconds. All in favor of approving today's agenda, please raise your hand and say aye.
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 All right,
Aye.
great. Wonderful. Agenda is approved. Next on the agenda, we have the meeting minutes to approve. for, see, it looks like January. So if there are any corrections to the meeting minutes for January, please feel free to let us know at this time. If you did not receive the meeting minutes, please let myself and or Denise know, and we can get you a copy of those as well. But I would just give you guys just like a minute or two to review them if you'd like, and then we can approve. Okay, so if there are no corrections or misspellings or any corrections I'd like to is there a motion?
I'll make a
I'll
motion.
move to approve it again. Oh, go ahead.
Kathleen, okay,
Okay, Kathleen,
I'll second.
Kathleen,
okay.
and then Larry seconds. So, all right, guys, I think there's just a bit of a delay here.
Right.
Okay, so Kathleen, I move to approve. Larry Keeler seconded. So, all in favor of approving the meeting minutes? Or the meeting minutes.
Aye.
from last week. Aye.
Aye.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right, moving on to the next point of our agenda. You know, we get to the fun part here. This is the fun part where we have our wonderful presentations. And first up, I wanted to introduce Teresa Gilati. She's the executive director and of the Office for Community and Economic Development for Washtenaw County. Very, very grateful, Teresa, for you joining us this afternoon, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really excited to be, I haven't been on this board before or got to meet you all. I do get to work with Elizabeth a little bit on the Urban County, which is lovely. Our office, just so you know, does housing and homelessness for the entire county, but we're also the community development department for the city of Ann Arbor. So we have a special relationship with you all. We staff the Housing and Human Services Advisory Board. We work on coordinated funding, which is funding for human services agencies, along with United Way and St. Joe's and the county and others. So we get to sort of work on housing kind of closely with Ann Arbor, but then also step back and do it countywide. So what I wanted to share with you all after Zach reached out and was asking about sort of understanding affordable housing and like what is sort of naturally occurring affordable housing, just sort of cheaper units that maybe you have a friendly landlord that hasn't raised the rents in a long time, and then units that are, I call them committed affordable units, because there's something in place that locks it in so that the rents cannot exceed a certain threshold, and that it's for lower moderate income folks. There's a income limit and a rent limit. And it's important that you have both, because if you just have the rent limit, everybody loves a deal. I would go for a cheaper rent. I'm sure you would too. And that doesn't help folks that are at that sort of lower moderate income level get housing they can afford in a place that they want to be. So it's important that it has both those pieces. So what I'm going to show you today is I'm going to give you a lot of caveats. So don't memorize all the numbers yet. It's a dashboard that we've been putting in place for the county. In 2015, the county, along with the Ann Arbor and the DDA and a bunch of other partners, did this housing affordability and economic equity analysis. This is the often cited study that says that, or put a goal in place that the city of Ann Arbor should add 140 units a year for 20 years. And so we used to do this little annual report, try to update it. Pittsfield had to add 17 a year for 20 years just for comparison. And then the east side of the county was trying to grow college educated households. That was the balancing act that we were trying to do. But so we used to do an annual report, and I'm like, well, that doesn't, no one looks at it, and it doesn't actually show you where the housing is and sort of the distribution. So we decided to do this dashboard that has a geography, a little bit of a map feature to it. And that's what I'm going to try and share with you right now and sort of walk you through it if that works. Okay, So here we go, trying the screen share. And apparently I'm not on my normal computer. I've been having a few work issue problems with my computer, so I'm using my home computer and I haven't done Zoom on it. So just a second, let's see if I can make this happen. Otherwise I might have to do a little workaround really quick.
Well, and hopefully Denise has, enabled that for you.
She has. This is something apparently on my computer.
Okay.
All right. I think I may have to leave and switch computers. Can I have 2 minutes to come? I'm so sorry. I'll be right back.
Sure, no problem.
Okay.
We can, what we'll probably do, just take your time, and then once you come back, we'll come back to you,
All right.
okay?
I hope it's 2 minutes. I'll be right with you. So sorry.
Okay, sure. All right, so the joys of Zoom, everyone. Okay, so with that, we're just gonna go ahead and move to the next presentation so that, we can kind of keep things moving on the agenda. So I want to introduce Katie Meinkevich, the Executive Director for the Washtenaw Library for the Blind and Physically Disabled, to give her presentation. And so hopefully when Katie is done, then Teresa will be back. Welcome, Katie.
Hello, and Zach, while I do appreciate it, just a slight correction, I'm not the director of the library, but
Pardon me.
it's okay. I am happy to be here to represent the Washtenaw Library for the Blind and Physically Disabled and the Ann Arbor District Library. I just have a couple of reminders about what's going on at the library right now. All of the AADL locations are currently open for contactless pickup by appointment. Michigan e-library book service has resumed. Don't forget about the new shelf service. You can request books, movies, music, or any combination of items based on interest, theme, age level, or whatever criteria you choose. Fill out the form at aadl.org and library staff will pull a curated selection of items just for you. You can also contact us via our website or phone, and we can suggest titles that you might like to request. Our winter game is still going on, with new content being released every day until March 12th. You go to play.aadl.org to look for daily recommendations of things to watch, listen to, read, and do, plus puzzles, riddles, and online scavenger hunts for points towards the summer game 2021. The winter game is fun for all ages, and everything in the winter game can be done from the. We've improved our parking lot Wi-Fi. New Wi-Fi access points are now operating in the parking lots at Malletts Creek, Westgate.
Oh no, you're frozen. Are you there, Katie?
Katie, you might want to cut off your camera and just talk because you're having some
Pittsfield
instability.
branches to make it easier to use each
Oh.
internet out for our.
He's back.
Okay.
Okay, can you
Oops.
hear me?
Yes.
You were frozen
can't-
for a bit and then broke up, and then now we can hear you.
Okay, I'm gonna try and proceed without video.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. So you can book Zoom meeting rooms for up to 2 hours and 1,000 attendees by emailing bookazoom@aadl.org. We have printing services available. Forms to fill out for printing can be found at aadl.org, or you can give us a call. If you have an essential task that requires you to go online, but you don't have a computer or a way to access the internet, we may be able to help. Call 734-327-4220 to get started. Sorry, that's a typo. It's 734-327-4200. That's the main library number. We've got programming still going on. You check out aadl.tv for board meetings, story times, crafts, book recommendations, trivia, and more. Every day of February, we will be featuring a quote of the day for Black History Month. You can watch a quote come to life as AADL staff use their skills to make powerful words pretty. Recipe Share. Attend these virtual meetups to share and discuss your favorite recipes. Participants can email the recipes to recipes@aadl.org to later receive a compilation of the recipes discussed at the event. Upcoming meetups are on Wednesday, February 17th, that's today, from 7 to 8 p.m. to discuss breakfast recipes, and Wednesday, March 3rd, from 7 to 8 p.m. to discuss dessert recipes. Bibliophiles is an ongoing AADL.TV program featuring a few AADL staff members who have a brief chat where they answer one question about books that they've read. Upcoming episodes are Thursday, February 18th at 5:30 p.m. to discuss favorite nonfiction books, and Thursday, February 25th at 6 p.m. to discuss favorites from the library's Black Lives Matter reading lists. On to materials. WLBPD patrons can order digital cartridges by calling 734-327-4224 and leaving a message, or email WLBPD@aadl.org. It's always a great time to sign up for Braille and audio reading download, BARD. WLBPD patrons can sign up at nlsbard.loc.gov or call us and we can assist with the application. Some titles just recently added to BARD are All the Young Men, a memoir of love, AIDS, and chosen family in the American South by Ruth Coker Burks. In this memoir, a nurse reflects on her experiences as a caregiver during the height of the HIV/AIDS crisis. She describes the relationships she built with patients, the unconventional extent of her care, and her advocacy on patients' behalf. Welcome to the United States of Anxiety, Observations from a Reforming Neurotic by Jen Lancaster. A novelist and humorist looks at why Americans are increasingly plagued by anxiety. She believes one of the main culprits is social media, which encourages us to constantly compare our lives to the carefully crafted perfection of others. She also provides tips on how to relax and manage stress. Becoming Wild, How Animal Cultures Raise Family, Create Beauty, and Achieve Peace by Carl Safina. Ecologist and author of Beyond Words presents an analysis of animal cultures and the way they relate and reflect human culture. Focuses on 3 species with sperm whales and family structures, scarlet macaws and beauty creation, and chimpanzees and negotiating peace. And that's all I have for you today. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Well, I just have one quick comment. I'm sorry, Katie. I knew you were not the executive director. I was preempting myself. When I was looking at the agenda, it was in my sight, and so I misspoke. But yes, thank you for that. What was that book? It was Becoming Wild, that talks about raising families of animals. What was that one?
Yeah, Becoming Wild, How Animal Cultures Raise Family, Create Beauty, and Achieve Peace by Carl Safina. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, pretty neat. Anyone have any questions for Katie? All right, no questions.
All right.
Well, thank you so much as usual, Katie. You guys are always doing amazing things at the Washtenaw County Library for the Blind and Physically Disabled. Really cool, by the way, if you guys haven't checked out that AADL.TV show, definitely check that out as well. Pretty neat. So thank you, Katie.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. Good to see everybody.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Moving forward, I would like to introduce the one and only Alex Gossage, the Executive Director of the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living. So welcome, Alex.
All right. Thanks, Zach. Good afternoon, everybody. It is good to be able to talk about the CIL again and just share some of the things that we have going on at the moment. First of all, I would like to mention that we have a program that we are starting a new cohort for up in March. It's called Safe Connections. The program is for folks who are would like to develop their confidence in making healthy choices about their relationships, talking comfortably about sexual activity, things of that nature. It's a 10-week group where you can talk about positive and safe relationships. for folks with disabilities. It is going to start on March 18th and run on Thursdays from 2:30 to 4:30. RSVPs can go to Izzy Bullock at ibullock, IBULLOCK at aacil.org. And those RSVPs are requested by March 11th. We are continuing, as we have been for some time now, with our virtual art program. That continues to be running on Wednesdays from 2 to 3:30. And there's always time for more folks to join that, and there's no need to RSVP, but you can reach out to Claire Moore for more information, and her email is cmoore, MOORE, at aacil.org. We are also working on a collaborative project with the U of M School of Architecture about universal space design, and that takes place on Mondays from 10:30 to 12 and is currently running right now. It started back at the beginning of February and goes through April 19th. Claire would also be the person to talk to about that. And then just a couple of other things going on right now. Trivia Tuesdays from 1:30 to 2:30. You can RSVP to Anna at aacil.org. And then Virtual Movie Club coming up this week. The movie is going to be Benji, and the Pixar story is going to be next week's movie. If folks are interested in taking part in that, it's Fridays at 3 o'clock, and you can RSVP to Shannon Clark at sclark@aacil.org. And then lastly, I will just say that I think there's a great opportunity right now for folks who are interested in learning more about advocacy and self-advocacy to contact folks in our decal program. And you can reach out to Elliot Carter at ecarter@aacil.org. I know there's a lot of interesting conversations locally going on regarding snow shoveling, and there's a lot of conversations going on related to accessible pedestrian signals. So hopefully folks are interested in some of those ideas, and if they'd like to be able to advocate for those kinds of things and to make sure that folks with disabilities are in those conversations, this would be one opportunity to move that forward. And that's what I've got for today. So thanks, Zach.
Wonderful. Thank you, Alex. And how did the review of Hook go, by the way? I just watched that the other night.
I don't know. I'm sure it was
Okay.
good.
Sure thing. No problem. But thank you to you, Alex, and everyone who's doing a great job at the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living, the home away from home for people with disabilities. So thank you so much. And by the way, folks, if you want more information on the Ann Arbor Center for Independent Living, you can visit aacil.org. Thank you, Alex. Okay, guys, moving forward, we have public comment. I don't think we have any public comment at this time. So we do have, though, Teresa back with us. So are you guys okay with me just sort of picking back up with Teresa since she was able to rejoin? Are you guys okay with that? Okay, good. All right. Well, welcome back, Teresa. Thank you. And yeah, let's pick on up. So thank you, Teresa.
Thanks for your patience. I do need to ask to be made co-host again so I can share my screen with you, if that's possible. All the logistics today.
Absolutely. Oh man, Denise, could we make Teresa a co-host one more time, please?
All right, it looks like it's working. All right, here we
Okay.
go.
Good.
Are you able to see this? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, I can see it.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. So here's what you're looking at. This is the Washtenaw County Affordable Housing Dashboard. I sort of mentioned to you, we wanted to collect all the information about those committed affordable units throughout the county. So I also asked you not to memorize the numbers because they're going to be changing a little bit. For example, I'm showing 45 new units since 2015. That does not include the Ann Arbor Housing Commission's additional 32 units they've just added at the end of December at Swift Lane, so that number would be updated. And in April, Avalon Housing will be leasing up their first phase of Hickory Way on Maple Street. I'll show you where that is on the map. So I have to move a few things over that were sort of planned into the new units category. It's my favorite thing to do, to show that we've made progress. But what I want to really kind of do is sort of talk about the distribution. So you're seeing a kind of rough map down here in this square of the 4,199 units that we have of this moment in the county. So I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. You'll be able to do this when it's released to sort of look at an area. And then a couple of things that are helpful is sort of what are those bubbles, right? So the larger the green bubble, the more units. And so there's a legend you can apply. Hopefully that's showing up. So the largest bubble is greater than 350. Are you able to see that? Okay, great. And then it trickles down. And this goes all the way down to group homes. Some group homes that have, again, rent and income restrictions are included on here. So those will be the smallest dots that probably will have like 4 or 6 beds available within for affordable housing in that particular type of setting, as opposed to say an apartment or a townhome, et cetera. These are all rental units. And as I mentioned, this is county-wide. So what we tried to do is count the total number of affordable housing units compared to the total number of rental units in the county using census information in that case, and then come up with percentages. And so you'll see this change. I'm going to walk you through some other jurisdictions that you might care less about, just so you get the used to it before we dive into Ann Arbor, if that's okay. So I'm just going to pick on Chelsea. I'm in this drop down box in the upper right hand corner. We're going to look at the city of Chelsea. So the nice thing is you click on it, it zooms in, and you're seeing a couple different ones. If you click on the dots, it tells you a little bit about the unit. So this is Sharon Ann Apartments. And we try to do a little bit of a description in this box here on the left. So Sharon Ann is actually an Avalon project that was done in 2017. They purchased an existing rental property and converted it to affordable housing. So there's a little bit of information about each one of these if you click through them. The other thing, if you look on the right, these little circles I find to be super helpful in the lower right-hand corner, this really the kind of dashboard. So City of Chelsea has 2% of the county's affordable housing. It also has about 2% of the rentals. It's much more of a community with home ownership than a large rental population. Most the, Ipsalani, Ann Arbor, they have a large number of rentals because of the universities in particular. And so you'll see that changing by community. And then we wanted to get a sense of, in that community, what percentage of the rentals in Chelsea are affordable? Because there's so few rentals, their rental units, there's actually 10% of Chelsea's rental units are affordable. Okay, so that's kind of how to read that. Let me show you another community. We'll tour around a bit. Let's try Ipsalani Township. So go over to the east side. So around the city here. So there's a number of units, right? So they have a total of 770. They've recently lost 440 units to this low-income housing tax credit properties coming out of affordability using this complicated thing called a qualified contract. We won't need to talk about that. But of the county's affordable housing, Ipsy Township has 18%. And of all the county rentals, they have about 18%. So you can kind of see how that plays out. While we're on the east side, I'm going to go to City of Ipsy really quick and just kind of show another piece of how things are playing out. In the city of Ypsilanti, you'll see another large number of units. So we have a large number on the east side in general, 968. That's 23% of all the affordable housing in the county. And the city of Ypsilanti is pretty small, right? So that's a large number. And they have about 10% of the county rentals. So it's really skewing a little bit heavy there for the city of Ipsy. And I might also just note, and this is in the comments, but they're all located on the south side, south of Michigan Avenue, which is a traditionally African-American neighborhood and is a little bit of a low-income neighborhood. So it's actually concentrating a lot of low-income households together. So this is not the ideal scenario. Within the city of Ipsy or on the east side, we'd want to see more distribution, just like we'd want to see in Ann Arbor. Okay. So let's take a look at Ann Arbor. Are you ready for it? I've been trying to build up. I hope you're feeling the anticipation here. So
I'm feeling it.
You are? Okay, good. All right, here's Ann Arbor. Let's zoom in a little bit. 1,482 units. And let me try and get it zoomed in. So again, you can click and see, this one is Parkway Meadows, and one of the largest single developments, right, around 350. Come down here, Cranbrook Towers, the senior affordable housing that's kind of close to the mall area. One thing that we did for Ann Arbor, it only works in Ann Arbor and Ipsy, is that we were able to add an extra feature, which is wards, which often comes up in Ann Arbor conversations. So we're able to turn on the wards, which is pretty cool. So, and also if we really want to get, you can pop out this map and sort of zoom in even more so. So you have that ability to really kind of dig in and see where things are. A couple other features, again, these will all be updated, but we were trying to really sort of take a look at where are the planned units. So I'm going to turn off the current ones so you can see them. They're yellow. I mentioned Hickory Way from Avalon. So that one is sort of a planned one, which will be occupying in April. So that's over here. Here's another one. This is, I think, Gott Street. Down here is part of the Swift Lane developments from Ann Arbor Housing Commission. So those are those two. I'm sorry, this one is actually Platte Road, which is the county property. That one's in the queue also. So that's a planned development. But I'm going to stop. Matthew, you had a question.
Matthew, go ahead.
Yeah. So the obvious question that comes to mind, given the group that you're speaking to, is
Sorry.
are these? Can folks hear me?
Is there a way?
Is there a way to filter this dashboard by accessible properties?
It's something we can definitely add. So most of these units, if they're of a particular era, have to provide a certain percentage of their units as accessible. The Fair Housing Act sort of required a certain number, you have to do a certain percentage. I will also say that low-income housing tax credits also require a certain percentage of accessibility. So we could potentially add in a layer that talks about how many units are accessible. We just have to go and get that data. But it definitely is something we could add in. I would definitely think so. There's a few properties that are specific to seniors slash, unfortunately it's called disabled, which is just sort of the HUD characterization, which is a sort of a building that's dedicated. So, you know, a Chittister Place or a town center or some of those communities have those designations, which I think is different. But I don't know, is that, which one would be more useful? I should ask you all that.
So just to follow up real quickly, you know, so I can get a bigger grasp, you know, this allows a kind of microscopic approach. Can you give us a sense of, you know, what percentage of Ann Arbor housing is affordable and what percentage of affordable housing is accessible, just so we have some idea of what we're dealing with?
Sure, let me kind of reset this whole page. All right, so to your first question of what percentage of the percentage of rentals in the city of Ann Arbor that are affordable is 6%. You know, Ann Arbor has 25,730 rental units. This was the last American, what is it called? ACS data, American Community Survey data. So the city of Ann Arbor has 1,482 committed affordable units out of 25,730. So it's a very low percentage affordable. And then we're talking about even smaller. All right, I don't have an exact number, but I think that gets you to the scale that you're thinking of, which is, I would say probably less than 1% if I had to say.
So that, you know, folks in the community, what I hear in talking to my neighbors is Ann Arbor is not an affordable community, full stop. So I think that's kind of what the backdrop of this is. So it's the relationship between that perception, which is I cannot afford to live in Ann Arbor. And you know, the kind of data and the kind of efforts that you and your colleagues are invested in. Can you speak to that relationship, to this perception, which is Ann Arbor is not affordable. San Jose is not affordable. These are not affordable communities. How would you answer that?
I would say that is correct. Ann Arbor is one of the most expensive housing markets, rental markets, and for sale in the state of Michigan. It is, so I want to qualify that within the Midwest, right? So we know that Ann Arbor, we have this experience from folks that go to U of M where a student might be coming from Boston or maybe from a San Jose. They look at the market and they're like, Ann Arbor is affordable. And that's one of the things that's impacting our market, right? But so in the regional market that we look at, which is Washtenaw County, Ann Arbor is very expensive and it is the most expensive community for renters. So I don't know if I can qualify that more. The other piece that we see, we did in that 2015 study that I referenced, is that for folks, we look at it, we measure it a few different ways. And one of the things we looked at is about cost burden, right? So we know that rents have continued to go up, but salaries and incomes have stayed flat or declined. And that's pre-pandemic, right? So I'm sort of taking the pandemic and that sort of phenomena aside to say that that's been the experience of the last 5 to 10 years of rents increasing, sales prices increasing, and incomes are not. And so for folks that are at lower incomes or even moderate incomes, the amount that they're paying for housing is increasing. And so we say you shouldn't be spending more than 30% of your gross income or your housing cost burden. But really the even bigger number we look at is 50% of your income. And obviously folks that are at those lower income thresholds, like making $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a year, are those that are going to be the most cost burden. They're not going to be able to afford to live in the city of Ann Arbor. And a lot of times that's our workforce, right? So we would see a lot of people that wouldn't be able to live close to where they work, for example. One other little factoid I'm going to throw at you. There is U of M does an economic outlook every year. And one of my favorite pieces of that is that they have tracked the fastest growing sectors for employment. And this was a couple years ago, but the 20 fastest growing sectors, about 9 of them were high tech and there were really high incomes, but between 10 and 11 were pretty low income sectors. And what they are is restaurants, home healthcare, other sort of service businesses, sort of like fitness, and other in the food service industry, honestly. And so those incomes were around $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. People working full-time positions in and around the community, a lot in Ann Arbor, and not being able to afford this market. So I don't know if that got to your question exactly, but hopefully it did.
Okay, and then Kathleen, you had your hand up.
Yes, so pardon my confusion, but can you speak to the difference between affordable housing and public housing?
Sure thing. And I will just also make it easier on you, is that we don't actually have any more public housing as of this year. So public housing used to be sort of owned by a housing commission and managed and also received money from the federal government to operate it. In the past 10 years, we'll say, both the Ann Arbor Housing Commission and the Ipsalani Housing Commission have converted all the public housing into affordable housing, which basically its ownership structure has changed. So it's owned by the Housing Commission and this public-private partnership. It's related to the financing mechanism that's used to rehabilitate the housing, which is these low-income housing tax credits is what it's called. So technically there's no more truly public housing. It's all affordable housing, although a lot of it's run by the Housing Commission or an Avalon Housing or Michigan Ability Partners or some of the private entities, like there's a different ownership group that owns Cranbrook or Parkway Meadows, and those are also using those low-income housing tax credits. So it's a different type of financing, but the city of Ann Arbor has put in place that whenever they support affordable housing projects in any way, they ask for a 99-year affordability period. which is the longest the attorneys will allow it. We can't say in perpetuity. They make us put a number in. And so they strive for that long-term affordability.
And so for the public, okay, so you've confused me a little bit further.
Oh, no.
Let's say that, you have somebody moving to the area and they need affordable housing. When are all affordable housings, there is still a public housing unit. I mean, people still go through public housing, apply for. So all of these units we're talking about, the only way to get into them is to apply, or do we have affordable housing that's out there that Joe Q Public, coming from, let's say, Texas, and he needs something affordable, can just look on a website and say, oh, this unit has some affordable housing, I go there and apply? Or does it all filter through public housing?
So it's actually both. So for example, the Ann Arbor Housing Commission, for the units that they own and manage, they have a wait list that they utilize for their various properties. But there is actually, in Housing Access of Washtenaw County, or HAWC, on their website, they have, it's housingaccess.net. They keep up to date a housing resource list. And it's the one I use when I give to people, because it has all of the affordable properties, and the phone numbers and the rents. And so it really kind of and it's whether it's senior or not, whether it's for disabled or not. And so it's very detailed. So you could, as somebody looking for housing and you have income to bring to the property, you just need it to be a lower rent, you could call some of those places and try to find a unit. One of the pieces of what the Housing Commission also does, and Jennifer Hall's always great to have come, but they also administer housing choice vouchers. And some of their properties actually have vouchers that are project-based that are attached to them. So in some cases, their wait lists are related to people getting a rent subsidy to also help pay for the unit. So that's a little bit of a both and, right? So there's the unit that's affordable, but it also can come with a rent subsidy. If they're project-based, you get the rent subsidy while you're on that property. If it's a housing choice voucher and you receive it, then you go actively find a place that will, then you can use the voucher to pay for a reduced rent.
Thank you.
Yeah, great questions.
Matthew, do you still have a question, or was that hand? Okay, great, thank you. Wonderful. And then I just had one question myself, Teresa, if that's okay. So
Yes.
this particular dashboard and database, I've been getting questions from colleagues of mine like, hey, this is great that it's an affordable, housing unit, or that they're building this particular affordable housing unit. But how do we know if it's just a reduced housing unit rate, or, if it's income-based? I'm not asking you specifically, but, is it possible to sort of have that within the information when clicking on each unit, so that they can know if, the particular rent is just a reduced housing rate, or if it's income based? Because that also makes, I think, a very big difference in just kind of where at least some of my colleagues choose to live.
Right. In the case of everything on this dashboard, it's both. So it will have an income restriction and a rent restriction. So that one is, you can say that with confidence, because that's the only way they're included, right? The reason why is because the market fluctuates too much. So we didn't want to include, maybe I own a duplex and in the goodness of my heart, I rent out half of it at a reduced rate. I don't mind. I like the tenant. I just keep it the same. So those things can change too much, right? If I move on, the next person can increase the rent. It's no longer affordable. So those that still fluctuate or can fluctuate with the market are not included. These are absolutely those who have income and rent restrictions.
Understood. Thank you. And then there's another question from Commissioner Debbie. Debbie, are you there? Okay, maybe that was a mistake. Oh, can you hear us, Debbie? Are you there? Did you have a question? All right. Maybe some tech difficulties there. But does anyone else have any other questions for Teresa at this time?
I had a quick question, but Debbie, if you do get online, and feel free to interrupt me, because it was just a follow-up to ask, when new units are built and the developer of a high-rise, for instance, allocates a certain number of units as affordable housing, is that, again, out of curiosity in relationship to this planned units, new units category, is that number of affordable units relative to total units in that new property, is that somehow keyed to the existing percentage, or does it try and increase the amount of affordable housing in the community? Does that make sense, what I'm asking you, Teresa?
I think so. Can I try and repeat it back? I think you're asking, how does this incorporate when overall new rentals are added? So sort of like that, it's a fraction, right? The denominator, right? How does that increase? And then do we also regularly plan to update it when we add new affordable units? Maybe?
So this came into the news because big high rise getting built, certain number of affordable units. To me, that didn't seem like a lot, but maybe that percentage is somehow matched to the existing. I don't know how many units were in that high rise,
Oh,
but
I
like
see.
the number of affordable units was like, I don't know, 4, 6, and the price of these other units was unbelievable. So I'm trying to get a sense of this, and maybe it's a question more for Commissioner Nelson, but it does come up when we see new units, planned units, little construction icons. It makes one.
Right. I'll start, and then for sure if Council Member Nelson wants to add. So there's a couple different incentives that the city has available that would encourage affordable units. So for example, Beekman on Broadway, which was the old 1140 Broadway site that many are familiar with, that used a brownfield incentive. And as part of that brownfield sort of negotiation, they asked for 15 affordable units out of a very large number of units. And so that was negotiated. That wasn't a flat percentage. In other cases, there is, in planned unit developments, for example, there's a set percentage. If somebody were to use that zoning tool to go outside of existing zoning and use the planned unit development, there would be a certain percentage of affordable units that would have to be provided at 60% of the area median income. The downtown zoning that was changed last year will also have a similar percentage built in, and that varies a little bit just based on whether it's D1 or D2 zoning, and then also how big of a height bonus or that folks are looking for. There's certain thresholds. If it's a certain amount of increased density, you'd have to provide X percent of affordable units or fee in lieu of affordable units. So there's most of the cases, there is a set percentage, but there's a few where they're negotiated, if that makes sense. And then city council sometimes changes them based on the project, so which is absolutely their purview. So occasionally we have one that doesn't fit the bill, and it's because they went either above or below for various reasons. So some of them are unique as well.
Great, thank you so much. I'm so sorry, guys, but I'm gonna have to, I guess, put a lid on the questioning for now, just so we can get through the agenda. But
Okay.
I want to thank you, Teresa, for coming and presenting. And I hope that this is good and that we can have you back to present again and talk about the great things that you're doing. If people do have other questions, can they reach out to you, or what's the preferred method?
Please do. If there's a chat, or I can put it in the question, I can drop in my email. And then as soon as this is finished and officially public and has the updated data, I'll make sure to share with you so you can share with the whole group. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. And again, we appreciate your work and efforts that you're doing in Washtenaw County. So thank you. Right. Wonderful. All right. So next on the agenda, we're going to move back down. We have public comment, but I don't think we have any public comment at this time. So I think we can move forward from that. Next, let's see. Under old business, we have the city personnel report with Denise.
Okay, this month I don't have anything to report thus far, so I'll keep an eye out for next month.
All right, and thank you, Denise, for
No
all the
problem.
work and for all the work that the city continues to do. Next up, we have the chair report. So I will be brief, but tell you guys some good news and everything. And I was very excited to announce that we're still working in partnership with Detroit Disability Power, and they're a great organization. They do advocacy work for people with disabilities in Michigan and then around Detroit. And we had supported them earlier in the pandemic with the eventual executive order from Governor Whitmer's office to make sure that people with disabilities in Michigan had adequate healthcare access, right, during the pandemic. Well, now they approached me with a campaign about making sure that people with disabilities in Detroit and Michigan are, have an adequate place to get vaccinated for COVID-19. And of course, I thought that this was, again, a great thing for us to be a part of, because of course it affects our community as well. And so, yes, they are a Detroit organization, but really they do a lot of work kind of statewide. So I thought it was something that, was definitely, paramount that we become involved with. And so they had asked us to sort of sign on and support the campaign and reaching out to, different state officials to make sure that, hey, people with disabilities need to be vaccinated for COVID-19 as well, and making sure that can happen as soon as possible, rather than sort of, waiting down the line, if you will, for, things to happen. And so we did, sign on to that campaign and support that. And then, we did send a letter to the state officials, as well as Detroit City Mayor Dugan, as well as the governor, just stating how important it is that people with disabilities in Detroit and in Michigan also have access to the COVID-19 vaccination. So, as of right now, I'm just excited to report that, we're doing great work with them. And I thank all of you for being supportive of that, because I think that all of us are a part of it. It's not just one person. We as a commission, I think are doing some great things. And so that's the biggest thing that I have to report as far as the chair report right now. But, that campaign is still going, you guys. And I'll be sending an email, by the way, because there's actually a link where we can individually sign a letter that can go to all those officials as well, sort of stating our individual support for the COVID-19 vaccination for people with disabilities as well. So I will email that link along, and I encourage all of you to just send in a letter. I mean, it's not very hard at all. You just go to the link, and then you input your information, and then send it along, and then it'll draft the letter and send it on your behalf to those individuals. But I encourage you guys to do that, because we want to make sure that everyone is safe and everyone has resources, and that we're all included. So that's the biggest thing I have right now as far as the chair report is concerned. Let's see. Next on the agenda, we have the white cane law. And so I wanted to just kind of touch base with Alex and also Larry about that, because I wasn't sure if you two gentlemen had an opportunity to kind of review that, or if that's still kind of an ongoing process, or kind of what the status is with that.
So yeah, Larry and I reviewed this several months ago now. Can't even honestly tell you the time we met. I know it was in person. I know at that time we did not have any issues with it that we foresaw, and I actually had thought that this had gotten wrapped up back when we were talking about the crosswalks previously as well. So had not realized until Denise had said something a couple of weeks ago that this was still delinquent. So I apologize for that, but I don't think Larry and I saw any sort of issues. It was mainly more of a formality issue than it was anything that affects folks with disabilities at this time. Obviously, if crosswalk laws are going to be changed, whether they're locally or statewide, that we want to make sure that folks with disabilities are going to be safe as possible. And but at this time, this particular change in the law didn't seem to affect that in any way.
Okay, and then Alex or Larry, do you guys remember sort of who inquired to us about that particular recommendation? I mean, I can look back if you guys don't remember, but I just want to make sure that we send that feedback to
Well-
the appropriate person.
Yeah, I know that Kayla said on behalf of the Transportation Commission was wondering because they had like sent it to us, and yeah, just yeah, I too thought we had like officially signed off saying this is fine, but I could not find a record of it. So I think it might have just slipped through the cracks that we never actually took a formal vote or something.
Okay, well, I think, can we take a formal vote on this now since it's on our agenda to discuss this? That we, that we're fine with how it is at this time, that it does not, impede or impair any resident with a disability at this time, and that we are, kind of good with the crosswalk law as written. And then, I guess from there, Tim, I mean, since you work with the, Transportation Commission, do you mind just communicating to them after we do the vote here that that we've discussed this, and that our recommendation is that the crosswalk law is good as written?
Well, this is not the I think there's been a lot of confusion between this and the crosswalk law, like the
Right.
ordinance.
Or this is white cane law is what I meant.
Yeah.
So the white cane law is what I meant, not the crosswalk law.
Yes, I can.
Okay.
And I think that's part of why this got lost, is it got confused with the crosswalk law. And
Right. Yeah, I mean,
Hey,
go ahead.
Larry here. Does this have to go to Kayla? Tim?
it can. I think it was supposed to go back to the Transportation Commission and or council.
Oh, because I could also, if you want, I could also send her a message that we basically what our vote was, because I have her in the computer as well. Unless you want to do it, we could both,
Well, I'll mention it at the Transportation Commission meeting, but.
Yeah, gentlemen, that sounds fine. I mean, Tim, if you want to mention it, and then Larry, if you don't mind, doing your due diligence, I think that would be great. I just want to sort of get some closure on this, and being able to move forward. Because I also thought that this was taken care of as well. But then again, as you mentioned, Tim, there was no record, of the White Cane Law sort of recommendation for us. So I want to make sure that we vote on this first, though, guys. I want to take a vote on this, and make sure that we do that for the record as well. So with that, I'd like to do a vote that, the White Cane Law as written, our recommendation is that there are no amendments or nothing to correct at this time within the White Cane Law.
Just to clarify, this is the White Cane Law resolution that council proposed. We're talking about the idea of moving it from from the traffic code to the vehicle code.
That's
so
right.
It's formally enforceable.
Yep. Right. Absolutely. So thank you, Tim. But yes, the White Cane Law resolution. So basically that nothing else needed to be, I guess, amended or rewritten, and that we didn't see any kind of, impairments there. So with that, all in favor, I guess, with the resolution as written, please raise your right hand and say aye.
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 Okay, so with that, Denise, if you can, make sure that, we can have that in our records, that we did discuss the White Cane Law resolution, and that we saw that how it was written, we agreed with. And thank you to Alex and to Larry for reviewing this, and I do apologize for it taking finally go forward, but I appreciate both your work on that. And Tim, thank you for your help and clarification as well. All right.
Okay, I'll notify Kayla in the morning.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Oh, you too? Okay, cool.
Okay.
We
All
all
right.
got Kayla's number.
Yes, we do.
There we go.
That's right. She can't get away from us.
No.
That's right. All right, folks. So moving forward, we have the Community Engagement Committee and Ann Arbor Inclusive Update with Rachel Hawkins.
Hello. So for this current month, they're going to be having a rerun for Ann Arbor Inclusive. They didn't say which one, unfortunately. I know they're currently working on future bookings. They're in talks with Washtenaw Intermediate School District.
Oh, sorry, Rachel, your audio is going in and out just a little bit.
You might want to cut off your camera, your video, and we can listen to you.
Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Yes.
You're loud and clear.
Okay, wonderful. So for community engagement this month, Ann Arbor Inclusive will be a rerun. They did not say which episode. They're currently working on a number of future bookings, including with the Washtenaw Intermediate School District and New Oakland. Our big news right now is that Tom Holton will be attending the Disability Commission.
Hey, Rachel, you're still going in and out a little bit. I'm sorry.
Let's see.
Is there any different audio settings maybe? I'm not sure. Sorry, I just want to make sure we all get the full detail because I just couldn't hear you very well.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
we can.
I'll try to speak quickly so it'll get in there before it goes out again. So we are having a rerun for Ann Arbor Inclusive this month. They're currently working on future bookings, including with Washtenaw Intermediate School District in New Oakland. And the other big news right now is that Tom Holton will be coming to the Ann Arbor Disability Commission this month to talk about Ann Arbor Inclusive. And I think that's about it for right now. Thank you for listening.
Sure. So just to repeat, folks. So Tom Holtland will be the host of Ann Arbor Inclusive. Will be at our meeting next month. And then you said Ann Arbor Inclusive, does continue to produce episodes. Did you say, again, it cut out a little bit again. So did you say that that you weren't sure what the next episode was going to be, or was there a guess for that?
For the next episode, they did not say which rerun it would be. But their ones are going to be Washtenaw Intermediate School District in New Oakland.
Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. No problem. Yeah, the connection is just spotty over there, but no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. And you can always just, I guess for that last part, if you want to put it in the chat too, you can, just so we can find out what that was. But no problem, Rachel. Thank you so much for, all your work and everything that you're doing with the Community Engagement Committee. And I want to thank, Tom Holtland and, everybody with Ann Arbor Inclusive. They're all doing a great job. So thank you for that. And great. Thank you, Rachel. All right. Moving on. we have the Partners in Access Committee, which is Larry Keeler.
Nope,
It is
it's me.
not.
Or
It's Alex.
it is Alex. I'm sorry.
I am part of it though.
Well, that's right, you are. And so I'm sorry, folks. There's
No
a
problem.
correction there. So can we, Denise, can we make a note to correct the Partners in Access Committee? That's now going to be Alex.
Okay, I'll change that on their agendas.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sorry about that, Alex.
No problem.
So, Alex?
Terry and I did meet again this month. We met for probably about an hour at the beginning of the month. We'd love to have some more folks involved, continuing to talk about some of the ideas and the projects we'd like to work on. One of the issues that we do want to gather more information and feedback on from the community is the need for accessible pedestrian signals. CM Nelson was nice enough to schedule the meeting that we had with Tom Crawford earlier this month and had a good discussion with him about the process of how folks go about applying for those pedestrian signals near their homes, their work, areas where they might be frequent pedestrians. And he's going to assist in looking into how there might be ways of more systematically looking at where those can be installed, how those can be installed so that we don't necessarily have to wait for individuals to make those requests on a one-on-one basis, and maybe do something more systematic going forward. Did I miss anything, Elizabeth?
Oh, for that one.
I don't think so. I don't think you missed anything. Yeah, Tom is really a data guy. He's going to be a really good person to tackle this issue. We're interested in figuring out like where they already exist, and like Alex said, just trying to figure out what's a more strategic or formalized process to prioritize them, because we do have long-term goals in the city around, you know, we want to fill all the sidewalk gaps. You know, we know that can't be done next week, and so the idea of like maintaining all of our signals so that they're as accessible as possible, that would be a huge undertaking, but it's not unreasonable as a goal, and to have a sort of system in place to move forward with that. Yeah. I'll pester Tom periodically and find out where he's at in terms of finding out the basic information, because yeah, it's an interesting question, because obviously some of the signals are more accessible than others, and why those and not others, and how do we make sure that we're targeting the right ones? So.
And let me know when you guys meet again too, if you would, please.
Yep, definitely will.
Because I sort of wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah, no, we'll make sure that you're looped in next time, Larry, for sure.
The next meeting will
Alex.
probably be, Larry, the next meeting will probably be a whole lot more information, because not to tattle on Tom, but he got on the phone call and he's like, remind me again what we're talking about. And truly,
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Well, no, I was surprised a little bit, but no, he's legitimately, staff is going to need to like look into some information. I mean, the topic of our meeting was vague enough that it was appropriate that he didn't have any information. So we were able to pinpoint a few very specific questions that we want him to chase down. So.
Okay, well, and thank you all. I mean, Alex, thank you for your work, and Larry, and then of course, Councilwoman Nelson, thank you as well for your partnership on that. Go ahead.
Question, Alex, did we do anything? We didn't do anything with snow buddies, did we? We talked about it briefly, but
you and I have talked about it. I know they have a report that's that they're just releasing to the public, I believe, regarding the work that they've done and the research that they have done. I think that was just
I think I just saw it
the other day. And then I do know that there was a resolution last night that was referred to the Transportation Committee that had to do with maintaining sidewalks and walkways around the downtown development area in the downtown area last night. And so I guess what I would say there is to definitely urge the Transportation Committee to think about those accessibility issues that come up as a result of lack of maintenance or issues related to snow plows creating bigger hazards with the snow, and how that affects anything from disabled pedestrians to folks using their wheelchair ramps and things like that out of their vans when they try to park.
And a note that has some. Oh, go ahead, and then I got something. to
Oh, okay.
mention.
Well, I was just going to say, Alex actually reached out to me a couple days ago or yesterday about that resolution and asking that it have stronger wording that really reference these parking spaces that are identified as accessible and rendered inaccessible due to snow. And I was really frustrated last night that it got referred so quickly because that particular resolution, I actually had an amendment crafted to like add specific language. I talked to Ali Ramawi about it beforehand because, and he was in agreement that we could make it stronger to really pinpoint and identify those as areas of focus. And because I don't know how many parking spots are directly signed and like identified as this is supposed to be an accessible one. Like the task of prioritizing them, how big of a task could that possibly be in terms of like adding to somebody's to-do list to like make sure that you loop back after the plows go through. These are all things that, yeah, lobby the Transportation Commission to pay attention to them because we were hoping to move forward with having like it's sort of, we've kicked the can down the road a little bit, unfortunately, so.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Last night I'm also pleased to say after the snowstorm, probably at least a third to half the curb cuts were shoveled out last night. There were some that weren't, but I have a friend that goes through town when she leaves my house, and I said, out of curiosity, just pay attention to the curb cuts. I'm just kind of curious. And at least half to 2/3 of them were probably cleared out good enough. There were some areas that still needed to be worked on, but I thought after a storm like that was pretty good. So.
All right. Well,
Just a positive, I think it was a positive thing.
Absolutely. And thank you for that, Larry. And then for bringing that to our attention, Alex, as well as Councilwoman Nelson. I mean, if there's anything that I think, any of us on the commission can do to help with that in the future, please feel free to bring that up. And, if we need to add that to the agenda, we can do that as well. So I guess just keep us in the loop on how that's going, guys. And if anyone is, if you guys are able to get that resolution viewed, or if it still has some work. All right, moving forward, we have recruiting activity, and that is Mr. Larry Keeler.
That's Alex Gossage. No, That's me. We haven't done nothing yet. How many openings do we have? I really haven't had a lot of, I haven't really had anything. I probably should meet with Elizabeth to see how many openings we got. Would you want to do that, Miss Councilwoman Nelson, one day?
Yeah, we can do that.
Give you a message and see if we got anything, and you can send it on to me, because obviously I haven't been going out into the community much.
Yeah,
when I have, it's got the face mask on, and my face mask is way up to my head. So, who's going to want to recruit from me? But
I think
I
think
want to see
since
if
our
we got
last meeting, I sent a packet out.
Yeah, I saw that, and then there were a couple of names that I recommended you guys from that packet. I did see that, and I did send those 2 recommendations for at least 2 of the spots to the mayor. So one of them was still a commissioner. We were just hoping that Christiana would still be appointed, but then the other new spot was going to be Miss Benson. She worked in PR for a long time, but also has a big passion for the disability community, and has a very extensive resume in terms of communication, really knowing how to, in my opinion, what I saw from her, you guys, is that she would be a great asset in helping her draft these types of different amendments and helping us with the language of different things, so that we weren't kind of, I would say, pontificating so much on, different things, so that, our processes could be, a little bit more streamlined. So he was the one that I recommended, but we still, I think, have, if I'm correct, those 2 other openings that need to be filled. So I still have that.
Well,
Go ahead, Larry.
Well, I'll look through and see if I got that information, and I'll see if there's a way to contact or find out if they're actually up for appointment then.
Got it.
Give me something to do.
Absolutely. And then with any other vacancies that we have, if you guys, review any information and then you're like, hey, this person would be a great asset based upon their experience or the response that they give within the application process, forward that to me and say, hey, Zach, can you take a look at this? And then I will do so. Sound
Sure.
good? Okay.
Sure.
Awesome, guys. Great. Thank you. So thank you both, Larry and Elizabeth, for that. I appreciate your efforts. All right. Moving forward now, we do have the Transportation Commission update with Mr. Tim Hall.
Yeah, so last month they discussed our policy agenda input as far as like what the city is going to lobby for, like mostly on the state level. There might be other aspects of that as well, and talked about a little bit about neighborhood slow streets and established a healthy streets committee as well, and the 7th Street process committee about traffic calming that happened about on 7th Street. And so this week we've got a lot of stuff coming up tonight. The big thing that you're probably going to all be interested in is the municipal sidewalk snow removal. And Councilmember Nelson touched a little bit on that, how there was a resolution that was committed to the Transportation Commission that was mostly pertaining to downtown. There's also discussions of studying a more broad approach that will take place. And we got the same Snow Buddy report that was talked about that, read over that a bit. And there's also going to be some discussion on transit-oriented zoning, which is something that's come up at the Planning Commission, and equity and engagement, and also the personal mobility ordinance, which has to do with like the scooters and that kind of thing, and where they can be operated and when and all that. And so that is coming up tonight at 7 o'clock. And just figured you'd want to know about that. That's what I have to say about the Transportation Commission.
Well, thank you, Tim, for all your continued efforts with that. You do a lot of great work there, and I do appreciate, all that you bring, not only to the Transportation Commission, but to the commission as a whole. And I appreciate so much your detail and your execution, and you've been a big help, so thank you. Next, we have the U of M Council for Disability Concerns meeting update. Kathleen.
Hey, so I'm going to try to keep this a little short because I see that we're on a time constraint. We did meet Tuesday, February 9th, and Zach has already covered some of what was on our agenda. We had one of our biggest topics was the COVID vaccine updates, and we did discuss the Detroit Disability Power and their request for us to send letters to our local government demanding that people with disabilities are prioritized in the rollout. We also had a request for information. If you've experienced access issues or accessibility barriers at U of M COVID testing sites, they want you to share your experience with Daniel Roboski at drabosky@umich.edu. He's collecting information in order to advocate for better accessibility at those sites. Also, the CFDC reviewed all of our comments and things that we discussed in January and December, and we came up with 3 goals to loosely guide us for our work year. Also, we had a presentation by 3 Michigan Daily staff. 3 writers from the Michigan Daily joined our meeting and shared their disability-related writing and illustrations. One of the articles was "Stop Discriminating Against Disability Students, No Exceptions," and that was written by Andrew Grace. On his journey to the top, Chris Kelly paves the road for those behind him. That was written by Grayson Bunning. And then Wake Up and Smell the Rhetoric with illustrations by Maggie Waibi. I will send to Denise, if that's okay, a list, this email that I have, and it has links in it that can provide you with more access and more information about those things. But it was really heartening to hear that it's important for us as people with disabilities to advocate for ourselves and for others. But it's really heartening when others who are either caregivers or just interested in disabilities also become advocates. And so that was really spoke to my heart when I listened to them and read their articles. Another thing that's coming up, very important, the Disability Day of Mourning. It's been organized by the Disability Culture at U of M and colleagues at Virginia Tech University. And it's happening Monday, March 1st, starting at 7 p.m. CART and ASL is provided. There will be a registration link forthcoming. I do not have that information today, but it's important to understand this day is a very sad and important day for us to recognize. It's people with disabilities who have lost their lives, either from loved ones, doctors who have mishandled their cases, mercy killings, things like that. And all of the names from the last year will be read, and they will take a moment of silence for that. It's a very powerful day. And if you are able to make time, I highly suggest attending. It's very, I think it will help speak to your heart, and it gives more clarity of why we need to continue to be good advocates for the disability community, because this should just not be happening at all. The last thing is that the next meeting is March 9th, and it's from noon until 1:30 p.m. and all are welcome.
Thank you so much, and definitely well said, Kathleen, about the Disability Day of Mourning. Just wanted to say one statement that I think you're right on there, and that we are all human beings. So moving forward, we have announcements. I do not have any announcements at this time. Does anybody have any announcements? Okay. Underneath the new business, I'd like to go back to Kathleen, because Kathleen, you have a very important piece of information. So Kathleen.
Yes, in your package, the Council for Disability Concerns is making an advisory group, and CODI has been invited to sit at the table. The aim of the advisory group is to ensure that their council is grounded in the experiences of communities of disabled students, faculty, staff, and community members here at U of M and in Southeastern Michigan. It's currently composed of 10 seats, 7 of which are reserved from representatives from existing disability groups such as ours, and in the community and U of M campuses and beyond. What they're requiring, the responsibility of this person would be to attend something that I do right now. So if there's someone else interested in this position, it's open to everyone. So you would be expected to regularly attend their CFDC meetings that happen every month from 12 to 1:30 on the second Tuesday of each month. They want you to attend as many as you can, but if you can only attend 6 a year, that's okay with them. They want to keep CFDC members updated on the work that our group is doing, the experience of our members, emerging concerns, solutions, activities related to disability access, rights, and justice, and keep our group updated on the information shared through CFDC, which we're already doing that last part. And they also want that person to advise as necessary, to provide input over email on occasion, because there are over 300 members in the Council for Disability Concerns. And the reason for having an advisory group is that when things come that have a hard deadline, like let's say the next meeting isn't until next month, but the deadline is like within just a couple of weeks, they wanted to have a resource pool to be able to help plug in and get information and in a timely fashion. So with that, I think the next step, Zach, would be opening up the floor to other commissioners to see if there is anyone interested in this position.
Absolutely, Kathleen. And again, what a tremendous opportunity for our commission and a commissioner to take forth. And thank you. And I was just actually going to do that. I was just going to sort of open the floor to the commissioners that were present to see if anyone would be interested in doing that the second Tuesday of the month, making sure that Kodai, has that seat filled and that we're able to, give an adequate report of what Kodai is doing to the CFDC and also be able to help them in a advisory fashion. So is there any commissioner at this time, if there are any that are interested, who should they just email? Is there someone that they should contact or?
Well, since I currently hold that position, we can do one of two things. Anyone who's interested, I think we should just discuss it now and just let Stephanie know who that person would be. I would certainly like to throw my hat in the ring, but if there are any other people who are interested, then maybe we could just take a vote on between those members who we would like to have represent us. If that's a good point of order, I don't know.
Sure. No, that's fine. I mean, I'll agree with that. I think, are there any particular, commissioners that feel passionate about, filling that seat on the advisory committee for the Council on Disability Concerns? It's definitely a great opportunity. As you guys know, U of M is our hometown university. It's second to none. I mean, with over 300 members on the CFDC, you would be part of, a tremendous council that has been around for quite some time and is doing great work.
I mean, I just want to applaud Kathleen's work. I think you've done such a dynamite job. I don't see how anyone could fill those shoes. So my feeling is keep up the great work. It's such an important link that you provide. And, I benefited from it personally. So, my feeling is keep up the great work if you're willing to do that.
I just wanted to add as well, I'm actually right now switching jobs, so I'm going to have greater availability to be involved in CFDC, which I wasn't able to say at mandatory meetings at the same time and same Tuesday. So I'm excited to have more involvement there as well. But I think Kathleen's doing a great job, and I second Matthew. And if you want to continue on in that role, we support you.
All right. Well, and Kathleen, I just want to piggyback and say that, you do a tremendous job in being able to balance, the responsibilities with the CFDC. And then, of course, making sure that we as a commission are, informed on the things that you guys are discussing, but also the great events and things that you guys plan as well. So, I will say this. I mean, if you, are open, are you able to do that? I mean, since you're already kind of the liaison for CFDC.
Well, that's the thing I was trying to allude to is that the liaison would become the advisor. So if there was anybody who wanted to be the advisor, they would also be the liaison, and then I would step out of that position. But if you would like me to continue as the liaison, I could step into because it's both. It's all combined into one as far as the U of M Council is concerned. And
okay.
So I think my recommendation would be then if commissioners would like me to continue on as the liaison, I would be happy to step into the advisory role as well with them. And then my caveat would then be that we should revisit either once a year or once every couple of years, whether or not you want to continue that relationship, just as we would voting in our chair. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it should be an in perpetuity thing, as long as I'm a commissioner on the liaison, but more of I will continue to do it if there's no one right now at this time. And then if we revisit it in another year, certainly there's an opportunity for someone else to, wear the mantle.
Absolutely. So then thank you, Kathleen, for your willingness to do that, and for the work that you've already done. And I think, if you don't mind, I guess, continuing that work and sitting in that seat for us, that would be greatly appreciated for right now. And then, of course, when the time comes for, that seat to be filled again, hopefully we can address that. But of course, please know too that, we appreciate all the work that you're doing, and, you do a great job. So yeah, I have no problems with that either. And, if you're willing to do that, that would be appreciated.
I am willing to do that. I thank you for everyone's votes of confidence, and I hope to continue to be a good liaison between our two groups, and actually to make our bond even stronger by being on the advisory group. I think that it's nice. What's exciting about it is that the Council for Disability Concerns is actually going to be asking for a report. So I think Alex is sitting on that, has a seat because he's with the Ann Arbor CIL. And so they're going to be getting a lot more community input, and instead of just, so I think it's really a great opportunity for the commission.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And let me know if what you need in terms of that report, or if what you would need and what would be helpful. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. All right. So moving forward, we're almost done here, folks, and we will end here shortly, I promise you. So next, I just want to go to digital accessibility. I thought that this was a very important point to continue to stress and bring up, because going forward, you guys, as of right now, we still don't know what the landscape holds for just a lot of things with the pandemic. So I want us to continue to think about and come up with some, maybe some ideas on kind of what will happen. I mean, barring that things open up, who knows, whether it's tomorrow or next week or, whenever things open up. I mean, I'd like to also see if there's a way where if commissioners are not comfortable, or transportation is an issue, where, they can be on a screen and they can still be present as a commissioner, but maybe not in person. And just think about some different ways where digital accessibility can not only continue to improve for our commission, but as a whole. And think about some needs that we can talk about maybe at the next meeting for digital accessibility in the city, and how we can become more digitally inclusive. So what does that look like? Does it look like, again, having, if there's a commissioner that really wants to be a commissioner, but just is not able to make meetings, but still wants to be present? Well, you know what? Then guess what? We have an option for you, because you can see all of us and still talk back to us. But, just because you can't get there doesn't mean that you can't participate in meetings and things. And that's just a hypothetical. But the point is, I really want us to think about what are some things that digital accessibility means to us in terms of Ann Arbor and the city, and sort of going forward. How, what kind of training programs would be helpful for people with disabilities? What kind of things can we set up in terms of maybe digital job skills, for instance, knowing how to work Zoom, knowing how to set up meetings, knowing how to record meetings for other people, streaming different types of things. I mean, these are the skills now, I think, that are important. But also, as you touched on it, I think last meeting, Kathleen, just the ability to attend more without worrying about the logistics side of things in terms of, getting around the city. What are some ways that can continue to move forward? So I just want to keep this on the agenda as far as digital accessibility. And then if you guys come up with some ideas, email me, and then I can, review those and we can put these under the categories so that we can talk about them. But it's important to talk about because this is our new age, guys, and society is changing, but in a good way. So that's all I wanted to share on that. Next, we have the Snow Buddy report from.
I think this got kicked to me because Lisa Brush from Snow Buddy was attending a lot. I was with PIA for quite a long time when I think if everybody might, to give a little context to this, there is an ordinance that people are responsible for cleaning their sidewalks. And we took umbrage with the fact that the city said, well, if you have difficulty because you're a senior or you have disabilities or you have this, contact this number. They couldn't help with the snow removal. And so that meant that persons with disabilities, seniors and whatnot, didn't really have a resource. And so that's why we started talking why the commission started talking with Snow Buddies, because the Water Hill District had such an amazing privatized, their little community has really stepped up. And so we began discussion with them. So I think that's why this was kicked to me. Everyone, I think, got the report. It's 47 pages long. I just got it yesterday. I didn't have a chance to read it. But at this point, Zach, honestly, I think it would be more appropriate for it to be digested and reported on next meeting by the PIA versus me, since I'm really no longer involved.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that assessment, Kathleen. I hope we can all have an opportunity to, like you said, review this, digest it, if you will, if I can use that term, and, be able to really understand, kind of what is in that report. And then how does the PIA feel about, kind of coming up with a response?
Yeah, we got a couple weeks to look at that thing. I think we should do it. I think because that's where it started. So, what do you think, Alex?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right, sounds good. So
that'll be the subject of one of the subjects of our next meeting then.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And by the way, we're still wanting other people that can join us.
Absolutely. So, definitely, Alex, that's good to know. So, number one, PIA will review the Snow Buddy report then. And then, Denise, if we can keep this on the agenda for next month, but then have the PIA, kind of give a report on this, that would be great. Gentlemen, I'm willing to help you, just review this and give my feedback, just so you guys have, another wingman on your side here, to give you some feedback in terms of, what kind of feedback. I mean, I'll have to review the document fully, and be able to assess it then. But, I'm willing to help you guys out, with this if you want.
Sure, yeah, the more the merrier. So,
yeah.
Well, then I'd also say too, once you know the meeting date coming up, then when you guys will meet, if I can just get clued into that date so that I can, be at the meeting and attend it, I'll be there.
Denise has been.
What is that, the 10th?
Yeah, I'll send out an invitation and I include all of the commission members, and then I'll add this also to the agenda for March.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's the 10th. It'll be the 10th.
Yeah, yes.
Wednesday the 10th at around 5. At 5
o'clock, correct.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I'm doing my best to put this on my calendar, but thank you. All right. Well, with that, I'd like to move on to just our final point of information, just letting you guys know that our meeting in March, again, will be over Zoom digitally. I got to tell you, I do miss seeing all of you guys in person. And, it's it's different, but
I second that.
Yeah, it's definitely different. I mean, for a while, I'll be honest with you guys, it wasn't that bad. I was like, man, this is not that bad. You don't have to go anywhere. but because it's been so long, I'm just like, man, this is it's interesting. But definitely miss seeing you guys and miss being in the council chambers there. But we will be doing it, through Zoom next month. So also look for that. If there's anything else in between, I encourage all of you to, shoot me an email, shoot me a text, shoot me a phone call if you have to. I think all of you have my information. I want to thank all of you guys for attending this meeting, and you guys are great. None of us could do this without each other. So thank you. Stay warm and stay healthy. Bye-bye, everyone.